What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? We in here. Yeah. Yeah, we got a cool live going on today. What's poppin'? What's up? Waiting for a couple of people to get in here, then we're gonna get started. That's my shit. We're gonna get started. Yeah. It is Sunday, October 27th, 2019. Man, I hope everybody had a good week. Hope everybody's, doing well. For those who don't know, we got a new moon in Scorpio going on tonight. Scorpio is 8th house energy. It's about transformation, new experiences. Scorpio's also known for discretion. It's a secretive energy. And this is a new moon. So the moon has about 8 phases, and the moon is in a sign for 2.5 days. So the 8 phases are like new moon, waxing crescent, waxing half, waxing gibbous, a full moon, a waning gibbous, a waning half, and a waning crescent. And the new moon energy is just an opportunity to start anew and refresh your dreams and desires, and it symbolizes new beginnings. So I'm about to get started here in about like 30 seconds. Getting over this cold right now. I've been having a cold for the past couple of days. Sniffs. So yeah, I've been having this cold for the past couple of days. I'm trying to get over it, but we're going to get through this live, man. It's going to be great. You know what I mean? Just got a message I want to relay. I'm going to be out your way. You know what I mean? So yeah, y'all send me y'all positive energy, y'all healing energy. Anything helps. But we about to get started here in a minute, about like 30 seconds. Get right into it. Yeah. A&T Homecoming was this past weekend, G-Ho. We went out there last night. It was pretty cool. I didn't really do nothing because it was raining and everything, and everybody was outside like on every other house party, It was like, I wasn't going to pay, personally, I didn't want to go to the club. I didn't want to pay that, that fee and everything. But I heard 21 Savage and Yo Gotti was up in there. That joint was lit from the snaps and everything I seen. Shit, I rock with Yo Gotti. I really like Yo Gotti when he was on that, I think, Concealed mixtape. You know what I mean? That Concealed tape, that joint was hard. I rock with that Yo Gotti. But we got Central Homecoming, I think is this weekend coming up, matter of fact. And we got Meg Thee Stallion coming through. We got Lil Durk coming through. We got Tink coming through. We got Frankie Beverly and Maze coming through. We got, I think we got some other people. For gospel, I wish we had the Hamiltons from North Carolina. The Hamiltons, they rock. I rock with them. They kind of hard. But, yeah. Aside from that, yeah, man, y'all make sure y'all go to NCCU, and yeah, I'll get y'all tickets if y'all haven't. Alumni, the All Black Affair, that joint will be popping. All that joint, man. So, yeah, we're going to get right into it. All right, so today we're going to be talking about consistency versus stubbornness, how you know you're being spiritually attacked, and how to heal. So this is going to be a shorter live, than the others, but like I said, we're going to get right into it. So consistency versus stubbornness. There's a thin line between being consistent and being stubbornness. So the definition of consistency. Consistency is the conformity in the application of something. The definition of stubbornness, the dogged determination not to change one's attitude or position on something. So being consistent, that means to stay diligent on your purpose. That means to produce effort and to think linear and exponentially. So when you're being consistent in matters and everything, that just means that you have a set goal in mind and you have a set routine and a strategy behind it to achieve your goal. So you're being consistent on your path, and when you have the thought process to think exponentially, then you can see that, okay, this week right here I want to achieve this, but the weeks to come, like 2 weeks after that, I could be in this position or I could be in that position. And thinking exponentially doesn't necessarily have to do with positions or have to do with status. It could just mean in your work effort. It can mean in how much you want to put more on yourself. Personally, I could use this to the degree of like exercising. Like, you want to go up in weight. Whenever you're on the bench and everything, you don't want to be at the same weight, just for the rest of your days and everything. You feel me? You always want to set goals for yourself, because if you never set goals for yourself, as far as like in my aspect of benching or in working out, then you're just going to get tired of it and it's going to become stagnant. And one or two things going to happen. You're going to want to give it up, or, you're just going to... Yeah, I think that's only one thing is going to happen. You're probably just going to want to give it up. So you want to set goals for yourself. And with having goals for yourself, it kind of creates consistency to be like, more so in an exciting journey. Stubbornness. Stubbornness means to follow the script to a T, not accepting help, only receiving favors, and blocking out insight from unqualified directions. So when you're being stubborn, granted, it's like, it doesn't have any like room for like individuality. It doesn't have any room for like, creativity, because granted, you're just following what the next person before you did without putting in your print on it. So not accepting help. Oh man, they done played the music. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but they're playing music right now. But not accepting help. Yeah, I'm not about to talk over that music, but man, you ain't about to be outside my door playing this joint. Alright, bet. Alright, bet. Look, man, shoot, I'm about to go doggone have to walk out there. And I think I still might have to. Hold on 1 minute. Alright, yeah, I'm back. One of these lives, man, you already know. You can't really, you can't control, what other people do. You can only just ask of them, so, it's just, you know what I mean? That's just one of the anomalies of going live, you know what I mean? It ain't no, whatever you see is, like, really what's going on at the moment. But aside from that, get back to it, consistency versus stubbornness. Stubbornness is about following the script to a T, not accepting help and only receiving favors, and blocking out insight from unwanted or unqualified directions. So what I mean by like unqualified directions, you can learn anything from anybody. You can learn anything from like a child. You can learn anything from your family. You can learn anything from a situation. You could gain insight from, any source. But, it's like, are you willing to listen? It goes back to a saying where, people say like, does God like really speak to you? And the thing is, God is always trying to speak to you. It's just who is listening. And granted, we always, I think, not everyone, but I think the majority of, in my observation that I've always heard is that it's about, a voice in your ear or somebody like speaking to you in a whisper. And I think that God speaks to your heart. And when anybody speaks to your heart, that's like played out in like your emotions or how you like feel, and you get a feeling over it. So to move on and we go over this consistency versus stubbornness, and there's a thin line between the two. Consistency is to stay diligent on your purpose, to produce effort, to think linear and exponentially. Stubbornness is about following the script to a T, not accepting help, only receiving favors, and blocking out insight from unqualified directions. Now we're going to get into how you know you're being spiritually attacked. All right. So this is a disclaimer. The disclaimer is this might be you. Now on this channel, and as you know, we always promote no shame and no guilt. We're going to promote awareness. So if no one ever told you, if no one ever expresses to you, you may keep doing the same thing. You may keep doing the same thing. So with that being said, it's no shame and no guilt out to you. It's just, we just all about being aware of our behaviors, being aware of our actions, because we want to promote, heaven on earth. We want to get out these hellish experiences and, these things that, take us by storm, and we don't probably know how to respond. Because, granted, that's another video. That's another video. I was going to get into, no one ever told us how to deal with sorrow. No one ever told us how to deal with grief. A lot of us don't know how to deal with, pain. So, we might just shut down. As men, I know that, like in the community, they talk about mental health and everything, and they say that, you need to talk to somebody. And, in my community, in the black community, it's like we don't, I think going to therapy and things like that is like frowned upon, because it's like, you just deal with it, you know what I mean? You just suck it up and deal with it. And a lot of that is expressed through like, going to a bar, drinking a couple beers, or, might be smoking, and, maybe popping pills, maybe doing drugs, you know what I mean? Or in the other sense, you might express it in going to the gym, or going to work out, or, having sex with your girl. Whatever the case is, it's kind of suppressing the emotion so you don't have to deal with it, rather than face it head on. So no one ever told us how to deal with these emotions. So with that being said, that just goes back to 360. It's like no shame and no guilt. If no one ever told you, if no one ever tell you, we may as well keep doing the same thing. And then the line going forward in our, in our evolution, it might be towards destruction rather than towards salvation. So, number one, how you know you're being spiritually attacked is when people make you feel guilty about the decisions you make. So, in this case, you may have been lost in your desires, right? So, if you can look outside yourself, and if you can peep your actions, being honest with yourself, then it's justified to tell those you have a point, that they have a point, and for you to change on your part. So what I'm saying is that while others try to make you feel guilty about the decisions you make, some people may just like make you feel guilty just like because it's coming out your mouth, because it's coming from you. You know what I mean? So they'll be like, you're wrong, 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 wrong. Now, granted, these other people or that other person might have an influence about them. And with that influence, you feel me, they might have a crowd around them, and they might have a lot of yes men around them. So it might be 99 to 1. So that's a lot of energy to take on. But that doesn't necessarily say that, it is impossible for you to stand your ground. It is impossible for you to stand in your truth. But a lot of us are overtaken by those influences and these, that large response that is taken to us. So some may see your lostness before you, and in that case, they're trying to help. So if someone sees, that you're about to be lost in a desire, or that you've been indulging and they're trying to help, kind of take that with heed. But you always have to acknowledge, though, if that same person is always saying that, hey, listen, they're making you feel guilty about what you decide to do, then possibly they're being encompassed by a demonic spirit. Now, on this channel, and I promoted before that you never attack the person, you always attack the spirit. So it might be a spirit about them that's granted, they have about themselves, and that spirit is infiltrating them and manipulating their behaviors, and they're expressing hate, they're expressing jealousy, they're expressing envy, they're expressing negative emotions. So If every decision you make is responding by guilt or shame, you're being attacked. And with being attacked, this creates self-doubt. And doubt leads to unfulfillment, and unfulfillment leads to a personal hellish experience. All right, going on to number 2. This is how you know you're being spiritually attacked. Point 2. Making you think your living conditions or your way of living is inferior or opposing to some objective standard or way of living. So there's a song that Dom Kennedy put out, and it's Dom Kennedy's it's called Interlude to Watts. So basically it's saying that, Watts is the motherland, Watts is the motherland, that's a refrain. And the whole purpose of the song is to say that, they go down to Watts, California, and to, get to know the people, because the controlling images that we see on our TV has made us scared to even get to know our people. Personally, it was a time that, I was at the bus stop and I seen, nigga with, tattoos on his hand and dreads, you know what I mean? Look like, he just came out of, a situation and everything, and to make you look at him a certain type of way. But you got to understand that, if you always seen that type of rhetoric, then you might express that in your subconscious. You might give them the short end of the stick. Now, granted, that man could be a father, you know what I mean? Taking care of his children, working the third shift, working the peak hours, just coming off of work, trying to make it work for himself, trying to make it work for his family. But you done already put him down and say that, oh man, he a thug, he a gangster, he a gangbanger. And that's the type of things that, these controlling images do to us. So as an example, I decided to put Dom Kennedy's Interlude to Watts because it's a perfect example of how we should go to these neighborhoods or go to these poverty-stricken locations, and we should show love. You know what I mean? So this is just an example of people being afraid of their own people. And as well, this is, like I said, labeling poverty or low income as criminals, thugs, etc. To continue, this is as well people condemning you because your lifestyle or path doesn't reflect theirs. So you may have somebody, oh, what up, Scott? What up? Cuz, what happened? So you might have somebody that's like in your path, and they over here, they got a good following. They got a good influence and everything. Everything's working out for them. So they're looking at how you do things, and it's either in opposition to what they're doing or maybe just different. So externally, they may be the person and be like, oh, man, you too different. You feel me? You all left field and everything. Why you decide to do it like that? Whatever, baby girl, what's going on? So, oh yeah, and congratulations on your child. She's a beautiful, beautiful child. So, you might be, granted, going, to this individual, expressing your individuality, but constantly he's making you feel or she's making you feel out of place. Their attempt is to make you feel out of place. And with that being said, you don't allow that. So you always have to peep what they're doing. See, granted, an influence can sweep you up underneath the rug and have you thinking that, granted, maybe I do need to do something different. Maybe I do need to change. But granted, at the same token, if your intentions is in the right place, if your heart is in the right place, and you know that you have a purpose behind it, then you keep doing that. Okay. Oh, yeah, no problem. Yes, man. So, if it doesn't reflect their image of salvation or righteousness, then they'll over here condemn you. So say, it's like these pastors that's coming out. You got all these different type of pastors. You got the cussing pastors, you got the fighting pastors, you got the the other, what's the pastor that just came out? You got them type of pastors, the licking pastors. So you got all these type of individuals, and they both over here spreading the word of God, spreading the word, spreading the truth. But yet and still, we still got other people in the church that's looking down on them like, oh, he can't be going to heaven. He cussed too much. Oh, he can't be going to heaven. Every single time he want to go outside, he want to fight somebody. Oh, he can't go into heaven. He messing with girls in the pew pit. You know what I mean? That's just shame and guilt, putting somebody down, trying to condemn them and everything. So whenever you encounter people like that, you don't have to humble them and everything. Just understand that there's a spirit that's encompassing them that has them feeling like, oh, well, maybe, we're better than him. And there's a scripture in Luke that talks about a Pharisee and a tax collector. They were going up to the mountain, and the Pharisee was like, God, thank you that I'm not like other men. I'm not like these tax collectors. I'm not like, these heathens. I don't steal, I don't kill and everything. And the tax collector prayed, God, forgive me for I am a sinner. So what that scripture is telling us is that saying that, it's about humility at the end of the day. No man, no spirit, no anything or anyone is greater than the other, But we can live our lifestyle to a certain degree to feel like we doing A, B, and C to mastery. And just because, granted, they're not doing it, then we're better than them or we're more well off than them. Understand that sin is a sin. Alana, about one of my upcoming favorite rappers, he says, Papa, remember, at your best, you still a filthy rag. So, not to say that, you are filthy rag. I don't want to put anybody down, but understand what he's saying. He's talking about, being humility and having a humble spirit about yourself. And as well, the influence can play a major role depending on who's casting the song. As an individual, you have to stand tall and firm in your truth. Now, moving on to number 3. Number 3 of how you know you're being spiritually attacked is making you feel like your issues are not important or as big as theirs. So they'll tell you to stop worrying about you and to pay attention to them. This is played out in relationships, careers, authority/hierarchy. So we all been in these relationships where it's like, oh, how does that help me? How does that, how does that help me? Disregarding your struggle, disregarding what you may have been through because they're focused on them. Now, I understand, you have to be selfish with yourself. You have to always want the best for yourself. But at the same token, you got to understand about having an equal playing field. You got to understand what a relationship is, the giving and the receiving of it. So whenever, you encounter people like that, whenever you encounter situations like that or places like that, understand that that is a demonic spirit trying to attack you. So whenever people tell you to stop worrying about your problems and to pay attention to their problems as if they're more important, marginalizing you, saying that, oh, what you bring to the table is not as near as important what I bring to the table. And even though it might have a different value, it's the same thing. It's the same frustration. Your frustration this is just as well as their frustration. And the thing is that y'all try to help one another. At least that would be ideal. But in this day and age, everyone is about themselves. Everyone is not thinking in a team spirit picture. And that's not to say what's wrong or what's right. It's just to say that, it's just different. You know what I mean? So you always want to put yourself around like-minded individuals so you can avoid such heartache. You can avoid, pain like that. Number 4, this is creating an illusion around the reality of situations that were made negative. So this is saying that this makes the negative they do appear to be justified by using logic, manipulation, narcissism, or the 3 spiritual powers, aka faith, belief, and imaginations. So this is about lacking self-accountability. This is the type of people that do things that's negative, but they justify it as, oh, well, y'all know how I do. You feel me? Y'all know, granted, y'all know I got that fire in me. I'm a cut. I cut somebody out in a minute. So they did somebody wrong. They pulled the wool over their eyes, but they over here rationalizing it by, well, he deserved it, or, well, y'all know, granted, he had it coming for him and everything. Rationalizing the behavior that's, frowned upon or that's negative just in a sense, that's evil. And they rationalize it. Now, shame and guilt, is no place for shame and guilt, but evil does exist as well as righteousness does exist. And certain people over here feel that, they're so high, well, not necessarily high up on the hierarchy, but people and certain individuals feel as if they can't do any wrong, as if they are without sin. What's good, Cherry? Thank you. So, yeah, they feel like, they all without sin. And with that being said, it was like, ain't no man without sin. You got to understand that you can get beside yourself and you can feel that you got everything going on in the world. You got all the praises from all the necessary people that you want or from. So whenever you make a mistake, you justify it as in your past, like, well, granted, I did this A, B, and C, X, Y, Z in the morning right before I even got here. So, granted, I ain't, shoot, whatever. But wrong is wrong, and you ratify situations, you know what I mean? So, not to say that you're a bad person or you're a good person after that, but you always want to be responsible about what you do. And this is with that type of vocation, not vocation, but with this type of mentality to create an illusion around the reality of situations that are made negative, this is lacking your self-accountability. So this is like relating scenarios that already exist. An example that I thought of about this was about the 48 laws of power. And the 48 laws of power, they got one of the laws that says take credit for someone else's work. Now, that is true. You can gain power from taking credit from someone else's work, but in my opinion, that is not righteous. That is not right. You know what I mean? I think those people that did their work, they should over here get the credit for their work, and no one should take credit for it. But an author who's a best-selling author can rationalize this, saying, well, listen, this book is selling, I'm getting paid, my bill's getting paid, everything's working out for me. So granted, yeah, like, take credit for someone else's work. And there's been people in times that have done that and they have gained power, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was the righteous thing to do. It's been a lot of things that worked in our past that has worked out and that has bear fruit, but that doesn't mean that it was a good apple or, granted that it was a eatable fruit. It might have been a poisonous fruit. You can bear fruit all day, but that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be healthy for your body, healthy for your environment. All right, moving on. And for continue, they abuse the locus of their control. So locus of control. The definition of locus of control is the degree to which people believe that they have control over the outcome of events in their lives, as opposed to external forces beyond their control. So an internal locus of control is the belief they control their own life. The external is belief fate controls their own life. So an internal example of locus of control is you get a promotion and attribute that to your hard work. External example is you get a promotion and attribute that to luck, fate, family, or timing. And the same goes for negative. So if you have something that's negative going on in your life in an eternal sense, you would say that I'm the reason for the negativity. I didn't wake up in time. I didn't do the work in time. I wasn't, everything is hard on yourself. The external references, same goes for negativity. When you encounter something negative, you blame everybody and everything else. You saying that, granted, they're the reason why I'm in this position. They're the reason why this didn't work out. They're the reason in this. So you can abuse your locus of control, depending on which one you are, for creating an illusion around the reality of situations that are made negative. So if you ever encounter in a negative sense, and you're blaming everybody else because of the negativity, granted, that can come off as a demonic spirit, especially if it was in your workings, especially if it was your responsibility. Now, internally, the eternal locus of control, the people who have an eternal locus of control, they are more responsible for themselves, yet they're more hard on themselves. And the external, they exuberate more teamwork and leadership, but yet they blame everyone else on the downfall. And this was the how do you know you're being spiritually attacked? I'm going to go through the main ones. This was how you know you're being spiritually attacked is when people make you feel guilty about the decisions you make. 2, making you think your living conditions or way of living is inferior or opposing to some objective standard or way of living. 3, making you feel like your issues are not important or as big as theirs. And 4, creating an illusion around the reality of situations that were made negative. All right, we're going to get into our last key point. This is about how to heal. So we're going to talk about how to heal. So with this, I'm going to go into time heals all wounds. You can't heal out the same environment that hurt you, and forgiveness. And this will wrap up our live tonight. All right, so how to heal. Time heals all wounds. This is a quote from John F. Kennedy, former John F. Kennedy, JFK's mother, Rose Kennedy. She says, "It has been said, time heals all wounds. I do not agree. The wounds remain. In time, the mind, protecting its sanity, covers them with scar tissues, and the pain lessens, but it's never gone." So, time heals all wounds. How do you change your wounds within time? You change them by taking the initiative. You change them by being mindful of your thoughts. You change them by creating goals and setting boundaries. You change them by living healthier and having seclusion for inclusion, or vice versa. What I mean by seclusion for inclusion is that sometimes you have to separate yourself in order to grow within yourself. Now, if you already been separated from the people, then you need to put yourself in the mix. You need to get out your comfort zone and meet like-minded individuals. That's why the vice versa comes in there. And last, promoting self-love. You can hurt out the same environment that hurt you. You can look at your relationships. Look at your relationships. If you're in a relationship that brings you down, hurt you, manipulate you, abuse you, take advantage, belittle, discourage, brings drama or darkness, you cannot heal. See, sometimes we're attracted to each other's darknesses. And to be honest with yourself, you have to be honest with yourself. Do you really want to heal, or do you just need a break? Because if you need a break, that just means that you're willing to go back, and AKA you're just a boy crying wolf. So you have to look at your relationships going down. Look at the food choices and your eating habits. If your body is sick, AKA depressed, overweight, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, etc., but you don't remove the toxic food or control your consumption, you cannot heal. And you have to look at your habits. If you're consumed by your desires, rationalizing negative thoughts, obsessed with your devices, neglecting yourself, and forgetting to live in the moment, you cannot heal. We're going to go into forgiveness. Forgiveness within the 4 agreements. If you were seeing the last slide, we got into this book. We did a synopsis of the 4 agreements, breaking it down, the 4 agreements. The 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your word, do not take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And with these 4 agreements, you could change your life, because granted, this reality that you're seeing right now, this is just a dream. And all of us are agreeing that everything that we seeing is real. So we're agreeing that this table is real. We're agreeing that, the construct of the matrix is real. So granted, it's dense. So with that being dense, we're all in agreement. Now, in this dream is ran by pain, and this dream is ran by fear. That's something that we all know far too well. So as when you're born, you're domesticated, you're indoctrinated into these thinking. You're indoctrinated to say you can't be yourself. You have to act a certain type of way for society, because if you act out the confines of society, then you'll be apprehended, you'll be tried, and even put to death, in certain severe cases. So we over here kind of move on our tippy toes. We kind of walk on eggshells with the pretense that, I can't be my natural self. Now, the difference between being yourself as a child and being yourself now, if you were free, is innocence. It's innocence in a child, but you have wisdom. And that's something that you get from growth. That's something that you get from experience. So whenever you're being free, that doesn't necessarily mean to go buck wild, but now that you have experience, now that you have life lessons, you can have wisdom about yourself, and you can go and teach somebody, you can go live it out and show by example. But we're going to get into forgiveness within the 4 agreements. And it says this: forgiveness is the only way to heal. First, we need to forgive our parents, our brothers, our sisters, our friends, and God. Once you forgive God, you can finally forgive yourself. Once you forgive yourself, the self-rejection in your mind is over. Self-acceptance begins, and the self-love will grow so strong that you will finally accept yourself just the way you are. That's the beginning of the free human. Forgiveness is the key. The problem with most people is that they lose control of their emotions. It is the emotions that control the behaviors of the human, not the human who controls the emotions. We must learn to control the emotions so we have enough personal power to change our fear-based agreements, escape from hell, and create our own personal heaven. How are we to become a warrior? The warrior has awareness. That's very important. We are aware that we are at war, and the war in our minds requires discipline. Not the discipline of a soldier, but the discipline of a warrior. Not the discipline from the outside to tell us what to do and what not to do, but the discipline to be ourselves no matter what. The warrior has control. Control over one's own emotion. Control over one's own self. The big difference between a warrior and a victim is that the victim represses and the warrior refrains. To refrain is to hold the emotion and to express them in the right moment, not before, not later. That is why warriors are impeccable. They have complete control over their own emotions and therefore over their own behavior. And that right there ends the live. All right, guys. So just to go back over, we talked about consistency versus stubbornness, how you know you're being spiritually attacked, how to heal, and we ended it off about forgiveness. Talked about the new moon in Scorpio, the 8 moon phases, and that the moon changes signs every 2.5 days. I like to appreciate it. I like to say thank you, and I appreciate everybody tuning in to my live. Shout out to Dolo the pilot, man, for the knowledge on being spiritually attacked. Shout out to my family, shout out to my friends, shout out to, the loved ones, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. Scorpio season is here, and it's going to be a lot of transformation. And with that being said, everybody just kind of move a little bit more wisely. With Scorpio season, the moon falls asleep in Scorpio, so it doesn't know if it's going to have a good dream or it's going to have a bad dream. And with transformations like in Scorpio season, you run the risk of being like lazy. You run the risk of kind of not being as focused. So with that being said, keep being focused, keep making sure your finances is in check, your life is in check, and have a good time, man. Have fun. You know what I mean? Life is about having fun. Life is about, doing your thing, man. I appreciate you. Thank you. And yeah, man, I just pray and I hope, and I'm sending positive love, positive energy out there to everybody. And y'all, keep on doing what y'all got to do. Thank you for the love, and I appreciate it. All right. Y'all take care. Peace.